I love even when you define homecoming in the beginning, all throughout the book, you continue to illustrate like this is what it means to come home to yourself. But here's one part that I really loved: when I cannot be honest about how I feel and what I need or want, even with myself, I am far from home. And you go on to say, as we journey home, we recognize the ways in which we have lied to ourselves, when we have convinced ourselves that we were okay when we weren't. And then you go on to say, homecoming requires truth telling, both to ourselves and to others. And one of the things that I have really learned in this last year and a half or two now is that whenever we get radically honest with ourselves, it requires us to make hard decisions.
Yes.
And I believe for myself and also for my clients that I've talked to, and just for the women and men that I talk to in my DMs, that's the thing. Like, once I get honest about how I feel and what I want, then I'm going to have to really take inventory of my life. And then what?
Right. And then what? Right. Truth telling necessitates action. Right. I cannot live in the same way I could live when I was in denial. And the reality is, when we talk about not knowing how we feel, if you are thriving in the other areas of your life, you weren't in touch with the misery as it related to the marriage, because you were prospering professionally. You were being a great mom. You had a circle of friends. You were doing your healthy workouts. So it's not like everything in your life was a disaster. So then when people would say, "How are you?" You would you felt genuinely say, "I'm doing great." It's
Literally.
literally like, and you meant it. You meant it.
Yes, very real in that moment.
Yes, yes. And in the other areas of your life, it was true. And what can happen is you can feel like those other areas are compensating for what's missing, so you don't feel that emptiness as much. So it wasn't like you had made him your whole life, and so you weren't getting any nourishment in your life, right? So spiritually, you were getting nourished. Professionally, you were getting nourished. In friendship, you were getting nourished. You were taking care of yourself. And yet it was like to get still enough to say, what about this? Which is supposed to be like my primary support. This is supposed to be like my number one cheerleader. This is supposed to be just, that soul level love. And that it is not flowing in the way that it should. And so it requires, in some ways, even slowing down to notice that, because you can make your life so full. And I'm thinking of a client now who, just stayed so busy in parenting and just kind of missed what was missing because of being like super busy. And so when you slow down and then begin to tell yourself the truth that this is not enough, and it also is costing me.